Sup, folks? Your boy Despot. Welcome to the first ever episode of Observations of an Idiot with DP. Before I go any further, as with all my shows, if I showcase an account, it's because I like them. So please, take in my rules, follow them, and let's proceed. In this show, I just like to give my observations. I'll admit I'm a fucking idiot. Therefore, if you choose to argue with me, you're even idioticerer. So suck it. But I do have a sliver, tiny as it may be, a sliver of common sense. And I'm just going to tell you my observations. The topic of this show is going to be on the FBI finally coming out with a suspect. This young white fellow, according to Jake Tapper of CNN, claiming he is the pipe bomber. Apparently, he's an autistic BLM supporting leftist. Here at DP Studios, we don't give terrorism a name, so I'll just call him Radio going forward. Apparently, Radio's been the pipe bomber they've been looking for as hard as they can since day one. And you hear how they found him? Well, apparently there was no new information obtained, nothing new brought in. They just went back and reviewed what they already had. And what's weird is they didn't apply some new forensic lens to this, some new technique. No, they solved it by what would be considered, as far as digital forensics, pretty archaic methods. License plate readers and shit. Like, they had this the whole time. I don't give a shit what they say. There is no way they didn't know this from day one. If this truly is the suspect, or a patsy, they've had this kid in their back pocket from day fucking one. I'm going to choose to believe them until I see evidence otherwise. I'm going to choose to believe them until his defense team gets a chance to talk and poke holes. We don't know what the fucking holes are yet. I mean, other than the fact that his build doesn't appear to be anywhere near the build of the person in the video. Whether he is or he isn't, the timing is ultra suspicious. I don't know if any of you follow Kyle Seraphin. My lady told me about him about 6 or 7 months ago. I started watching, and we have a little something in common. Although at a different level, my city agency came after me pretty hard. Almost cost me my life. Back then, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have podcasts. I had no fucking recourse. And I can't tell you how awful that feels. I kind of know what he's going through. At least he's got a great following and he's got a voice. He's able to be a thorn in their side as much as possible, as much as they deserve. But it just seems suspicious that a friend of his, a guy he seems to favor and have as a guest on his show, Steve Baker of The Blaze, came out with the story alleging this former Capitol Police officer was in fact the suspect. Now, while it wasn't Kyle's story, a lot of people linked it to Kyle. Kyle talked about it days in advance, saying it was about to break. He obviously knew about it, and it's apparent he supports his friend, Steve Baker. When that story broke, I waited for Kyle's episode. It was like a day later, and I listened to the parallels, the investigation, where he was looking at the dude in this door while this chick lived, and I mean, it was so compelling to me. But later that day, my lady came down to me and said, "What do you think about the Kyle show today? What do you think? You think she did it?" And I said, ask me again in a week. And what I meant by that was, if she's not the suspect, based on my knowledge of how these things go, if she's not the suspect, she would have filed that lawsuit within 10 seconds of her name being dropped. I'll give her some time. Maybe she doesn't have a defense team assembled yet. I'll give her a week. If she doesn't file a lawsuit within a week, I'm going with the evidence. Well, fuck, this is a couple weeks now, right? There's nothing. But isn't the timing just odd that the FBI finally makes a break in this with no new evidence? Evidence they had the whole time. Do they have a hard-on for Kyle so fucking bad that they weighed all the options? Because I'm telling you what this means to identify not only a suspect, folks, but a suspect not associated with MAGA. Whether it was this idealist nitwit as a cop who may be off the hook in this, but I don't consider her off the fucking hook. I don't give her a break because of her actions on January 6th in her official capacity. She can still eat my ass. But getting back to Radio Urkel here, whether it's him or not him, they had to have him in their back pocket this entire fucking time. Why? Because there's this thing about the fucking feds that a lot of people don't know. And I'm not talking about any particular agency. The federal system as a whole, they have these weird tactics and these schemes and gimmicks they're able to pull in court that the rest of us don't understand, especially if you have no history with that federal system. These are things that just defy logic, that to the rest of us would seem unconstitutional, to me seem almost inhumane in that sense of due process. There is no due process, and I'm going to give you an example. Let's go to January 6th, right? First and foremost, you put your hand on a cop. I don't care how justified you may think you are. I don't care about your prison sentence. I want you to have an extended stay in the fucking hospital. And maybe 5 years after you're released with extensive physical therapy, then you start your prison sentence. Period, full fucking stop. You don't put your hands on a cop. However, we've all seen the video of the old woman, right? The old woman who comes into the building. There's a door being held open by a cop, and an old woman walks in. and she looks and she sees the rowdiness of the situation. You can't hear it because there's no audio, but you know she goes, "Fuck this, not my crowd." She turns around and leaves. One guy's charged with trespassing and assault on law enforcement. She's charged with trespassing. But then they got these gimmicks that they're able to play at sentencing, called in sentencing enhancements. And although that woman walked into a door that was held open and walked out within 10 seconds, and she only gets convicted of trespassing, she gets sentenced for the assault. Why? They're able to group everybody in to a mass conspiracy. These people that have never met each other in their lives, strangers to each other. But wait, there's more. Then they got this weird fucking tactic that they call like a geographical sentence enhancement. Several hours after the Capitol has been cleared, there's a carjacking 5 blocks away. A carjacking not affiliated with anything that happened on Capitol grounds that day. Guess what? They can pull that in to a sentencing enhancement. She gets sentenced for the fucking carjacking. Do you understand that trespassing in every fucking municipality, every city and state in this fucking country does not get you a day in jail? It is a misdemeanor. First offense trespassing with no other prior convictions. You pay a fucking fine. You get a couple months of probation. That's it. How is an old lady sitting in jail for over 2 fucking years in solitary confinement for a large portion of that? Because she's also sentenced for the pipe bombing. Now you understand why this case is so fucking huge, and why, as Kyle Seraphin explained, he was about to door knock a potential pipe bomber, a guy whose cell phone they tracked throughout the city and to this location, which also, it turns out, happened to be a duplex shared on the other side with the female Capitol Police officer. But no, that's just a fucking coinky dink. And just before he does the door knock, the entire team is pulled from the fucking case, and it is shut down. And it's obvious why it's shut down, because whether it's some leftist idealist Capitol Police officer or some BLM supporting kid that took the short bus, it's not MAGA. The DOJ would not have been able to use it as a sentencing enhancement. The January 6th committee wouldn't have been able to use it in their targeting of Trump because this person was purposely not identified. They were able to wrap it around the fucking neck of the president and his supporters. But now I'm starting to think, is the new FBI this petty? Did Kyle Seraphin really break this case because of his full-throated support of the Blaze report? Do they want to taste Kyle's ass so bad that they said, fuck it, let's blow this whole thing out of the water, just to now give this bimbo an opportunity to sue him into homelessness? If this is truly the kid and not a patsy, they fucking knew it day one. Previous administration knew it. The current fucking administration knew it. And could it have taken their hatred for this former FBI agent podcaster? Could their hatred of him, as they take nibbles at him, sending their girlfriends to fucking sue him, could they have decided, fuck it, let's expose this whole thing. Let's open up Washington, D.C. Because now that they're identifying him, there's no way they're going to be able to keep a lid on how long they knew it was him. And if they knew it was him, as old ladies were getting sentenced for his crimes, knowing there was no MAGA connection, and therefore it couldn't have been used as an enhancement. I mean, that should send half the former FBI, half the former DOJ to fucking prison. Are they that petty to hate Kyle that much to give us this now? This just seems awfully suspicious, and I hope it is the fucking kid. I hope they're right. And if Steve Baker gave us anything, it proved that, no, she's still a piece of shit for her actions on the 6th. I don't know about this one, man. I am starting to lose faith in anything related to my former profession at that federal level. I'm calling that brotherhood into question. We are not the fucking same. This is absolutely awful. I need to see proof that this was absolutely fucking organic, that it was just a true oversight. You know what comes next. We're more than likely going to learn they had this kid in their back pocket the whole fucking time. Even if it was the chick and he's the patsy, they knew who the pipe bomber was almost instantly. No fucking way they didn't. Anyway, those are the observations of this idiot. Later, bitches.
Get him, Jay.
I'm not a cop.
You got DP'd.